Hello everybody and welcome back to Vintage Thursday. So today we are again with the 35X, as you can tell. So today's video is very unexpected. It all stems from part 3 of the 35X little mini series that we finished just into the new year. After that video I was contacted by Matt Buckley from QTP, Quality Tractor Parts, the tractor part supply company from Ireland, and he said, can you send us your address? We would like to send you a few bits and pieces to help you along the way with your 35X project. So we had a little email conversation and he duly sent us some parts. So I do need to tell you right at the start of this video, all the parts you see in today's video, they all are supplied by QTP and they all are free of charge to me. So it's important that I tell you that I haven't paid for these bits. They've sent me these parts. And YouTube like me to tell you stuff like that. You know, I have to be honest. This is, you know, all these parts are free of charge to me. So we need to get that kind of straightened out at the start. But anyway, right. So I had no idea what they were sending. He just said he was going to send a few bits to help us along with the project. So let's take a look and see what we received. Okay, so here we go. We received 2 boxes. Okay, so a nice a square box, and we did receive a long tubular, as you can see, a box here. So you're probably ahead of me on what is in this long box. I will give you a clue. It's not a yard of Jaffa Cakes, but we'll open that one later on. So what is in the smaller box? So here we go. Okay, so lots of nice little goodies in here. So first one you will see is an air cleaner, an air cleaner mushroom, air intake mushroom, pre-cleaner, call it what you will. Okay, so we need one of these because ours is missing. I think what we'll do, as we fit the parts, we'll just tell you the part number just so you know what we're using. Okay, so we've got the air pre-cleaner pipe. We got some gear stick rubber boots, because we do have boots on the 35X, but they're knackered, they're gone, they're split and they're perished. So we sent us a new pair of these. We have a dynamo guard. Okay, so the dynamo belt runs inside of here, and it's just like a safety feature, which I don't think it was fitted to 35Xs of my age, but they were fitted to the later ones when the extra safety regulations came in. And then we have a rev counter clock, because again ours is broke, and a cable. Well, I say our clock is broke, our clock doesn't work. It could be the cable gone, it could be the clock gone. At the moment I don't know, I've not investigated. And then we have a pair of exhaust clamps, which will probably give away what's in the long box. This is what you'd already guessed. So in the long box is a nice new exhaust silencer. There we go. So let's get some parts fitted. Okay, so first off we are going to fit the air mushroom. It's the easiest thing to do. Okay, so this is part number 893226, QTP part number. Now I'm particularly excited to get one of these, to give this a go. That's why I'm doing it first, because when I got my original 35, the 3-cylinder 35, again it was missing this air intake, air pre-cleaner, and I did actually buy one to fit it, but it's not a tight fit on the thing. It rattles around a lot. I don't know where it come from. I'm pretty sure I bought the other one at a show somewhere, so I've no idea where it came from, but this is what I'm excited to see. Is it a nice snug fit? Because it should be like a bit of a, it should take a good shove to get it to fit on and be rigid fit, so hopefully this isn't floppy. Just a quick look at it. It's got a very nice paint finish, I have to say. Normally these are just kind of fitted in primer and you put your own paint finish on, but this one looks to have a slightly better paint finish than primer. But here we go, here's the test fit. Oh, I like that. That's nice and firm. That's what I was hoping for. It doesn't flop and wobble around. It's not going to vibrate as we're moving around. I like that. That's a good snug fit. That's what I was hoping for. So there's the first part So there's the first part fitted. That's the bit I've been looking forward to most about trying on. I like that, I'm happy with that. Okay, so next up we are going to fit the gear lever boots. So these are, so the part number 180579. These are kind of a universal fit. They will fit a lot of pretty much every gearbox. Got the 2-lever arrangement. They're kind of a universal fitting. Okay, so if I just pop this one off, you can see the problem we've got. The split, he's just going to fall off. That's just age, that's what happens. So these are quite important. As you can see, they fit quite tightly around the lever, and then they fit over this. There's a little ridge or a groove here. They keep dirt and dust and rainwater out of the gearbox, because as you can tell, if they weren't there, they would, all that dirt and grime would just get into the top of the gear stick there, and either if it's dirt it would stay on this bit and cause wear, or water would just go into your gearbox, contaminate your oil. They're a very small part, but they are quite important. So I have put some preliminary work into this, and I have got both knobs loosened off. They were quite tight, and they did take a little bit of mechanical maneuvering. Very carefully, just grip the balls with a big pair of water pump pliers, and they did come undone quite easily. There is a brass thread in there, but this is steel. So I am, while we're apart, gonna clean the threads up with a wire brush, and then we can put a little bit of grease onto that thread when we go back together. So here is our new boots. Okay, so there you can see, hopefully you can see, it's like a thickened ridge around the bottom of the boot. So that is what catches into the groove. So I think what I'm going to do is, to help them on, I'm going to put a little bit of grease just up in where it slides on the lever. The lever is a little bit rusty, so hopefully it'll help it ease its way down. Maybe a little bit on that bottom bit as well, just a little bit of grease around that, around the base, just to help it pop over here. So here we go, and a little bit stays behind on there. And there we go, easy as that. Yep, he's popped down all round. And then we will just put our knob back on the top. Now there's a bit of grease under there. Just clean the grease off. Just hand tight, it's plenty for those. No need to get anything mechanical to do them up. Just clean that bit of grease off the gear stick. Nice and easy. So this one is in a bit better condition. It's not split like the main gear lever, but it's due for a change. I suspect this one's, you can tell they are a little bit different. I suspect this one's probably original, that's the replacement, but you can tell he's splitting as well in there, so time to go. Right, happy with that. Little wipe down. That's that finished. So next up, I think we will do the dynamo guard. Okay, so this is part number, where are we to? 61454. Okay, so this is just finished in primer. See, it's nicely made. Plenty of room for adjustment with your taking up your fan belt tension. Just two bolts fit in it. Let's see how we go. So it just picks up on this top pivot bolt, and then the bolt under here, which is where your slide is for your rotation as you tension your belt. So I think what we'll do, we'll let the belt tension off, and then tension back up once we're done. Okay, so as we took the top bolt off, this bracket was on there. It's got grey paint on it, so this is obviously the remains of a previous guard. It's just snapped off here. So now we're going to get a nice new one to put on there. And we did have a bit of corrosion on the bolt where the bolt passes through the aluminium on the dynamo. It was corroded a little bit. So we've cleaned that up, we've oiled it up. Let's put it all back together. Okay, so just lever the bottom of the dynamo outwards with the bar, get some tension on the belt. Make sure the guard's not rubbing anywhere, because that's independently adjustable from the dynamo. Do him up. There we go, all completed. So there we go, that is on and secured. All the bolt holes lined up very nicely. I have to say that bottom bolt, or the bottom nut, was tricky, but not impossible, but not helped by the fact that the bolt, it's not the proper bolt, it's an overlong bolt. So a proper bolt, or a correct length bolt, would have been easier. But getting a nut on in there is not going to be easy in either way, but there's plenty of clearance for the belt all around, and yeah, fits nicely. So next part to fit is the new rev counter. So this one, the original one, doesn't work. I'm not sure if the clock has failed or if it's the cable. It could be either. I haven't investigated. They've just sent one in the parcel. So let's take it out, take a look at it, and get it fitted. So like the rest of the parts, we're going to give you the part number. The clock is 898428, so that's what we're fitting. Let's get them opened up. Okay, so here is the new clock. I'm just being a bit aware of reflection on the screen, so I get it as best I can. So here we go. Now what you've got to be careful of when you're ordering a clock for 35, there is a number of different styles. Okay, so this is what we've been sent. This is our brand new one. This is an old one. This is from my 3-cylinder 35. Okay, so as you can tell, the arrow or the needle runs the same way as the new one. But this one here is from a TVO 35, still red and grey, but it's quite an early one, so it does still say Ferguson on the clock, but you'll see the needle goes a different way. So if you're ordering a clock for your tractor, make sure you get the right style, because there are various different ones. These two are very closely matched. You can tell the needle goes the same way, and what you also get on a clock, you get your PTO, 536 RPM, and your belt speed. Okay, and on this one, on the original 35 over here, on the 3-cylinder 35, PTO is at 1500 RPM, and that matches on the new one. and your belt speed is 2000 RPM. Now comparing to this is the clock on the 35X, you'll see the PTO is listed as 540 this time, and that's on 1700 RPM, and the belt speed is up here 2300. So again, that's another variation of the clock. So this is genuine 35X one. Maybe the one QTP have sent is a 35 one. Okay, the only difference is the PTO RPMs. That's the only difference is. That's all the difference there will be. Oh, I've got the light in the way again. Yeah, so you do need to be aware when ordering these things. There are a variety of styles, so you need to make sure you get the right one. And along with the clock, they have sent us a new drive cable. Again, part number 882539. Okay, so I'm not sure if it's the cable that's gone on our tractor or the clock, but we're going to change it all in. They've sent us all new, so we're going to change it all new. Going to put all the new on. So as was the case earlier in the video for the other parts, we have done some kind of preparatory removal of the clock, just to save time basically. So we'll just take our pre-cleaner off. So we'll lift the bonnet up and take a look at what we're going to be doing. Okay, so obviously the clock is in the dashboard behind the steering wheel, and it is held in from behind by some threaded rods that come down through the back of the dashboard with some, on the originals, is aluminium nuts on here. Now, in my preparatory work, I have actually sheared off the nut on the far side because the aluminium corrodes onto the steel stud, and they're not particularly big studs, and it didn't take a lot to shear it off. But this one is coming undone with a bit of mechanical force. Okay, so hopefully he'll carry on and come away. I have tried to undo the cable. Okay, so again, this is an aluminium nut on the cable onto the steel of the back of the clock, and that one will not undo. Okay, so that's another issue with the aluminium corroding. Okay, so now we are on the other end of the cable. As you can tell, it comes into the back. Here is the drive. It picks up the drive from the back of the camshaft. Fortunately, this is coming undone. So what we're going to do, we're going to unscrew this end here and just pull the cable back up, fixed to the clock. Okay, so this one came undone nice and easily. So this will just undo. Inside there, the little drive cable is fitting into the back of the camshaft. Now in this aluminium housing here, there is an oil seal, and just on the end of my finger there's a little tiny oil drain hole. So if any oil gets past the seal, as long as that hole isn't blocked, it will come out and not fill your clock up. We do have a previous video on the channel of changing this seal in here on one of these engines. So if you've got a leaky seal, you can go back and find that video. The fact that this is all dry, well, you know, as dry as you get in here, we're not going to touch that seal. It's okay at the moment, but when we do refurbish this engine in the future, obviously we'll get a new seal in there. Right, so let's see if we can get this nut off and pull the clock out. Hopefully it should unscrew and not snap off. It's coming. There we go. Finger tight now. Okay, so there is aluminium nut and the anti-shake washer. It's probably been on there since the day the tractor was new. So you know what we need to do? We need to take note of where our cable is running, because it disappears down through the battery. It disappears down through the battery tray. So now we can just, there we go, come out all as one. Hopefully the nut doesn't catch too much down in the bottom. Might need to go around the far side and just wiggle that free. Okay, so we have a problem. The bigger nut on the end of the drive cable won't come up through this way. So we're going to have to undo this corroded up nut here. It looks like It's not going to be a problem. Is that it's not corroded on the back of the clock, it's corroded between the cable here and the nut here. So if we turn the clock, it will unscrew. There we go. So now this will then pass downwards to come out. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we will compare old and new clocks. Okay, so here we can see, get the light out of the way, the difference in the PTO speed. There it's 1500 RPM on the new one, and on the 35X one it is 1700. Okay, so that's the difference you need to watch out for. Now if we look at our cable we've just taken out, here it's damaged. Okay, you can see there's a kink in it. The actual casing is damaged in there. If I turn one end of the cable, the other end doesn't turn. Okay, so it's broken, and I suspect it's probably broken. It's probably broken on that kinklet. So you can see that has got damaged at some point, and this is why the clock, well, potentially why the clock wasn't working. Let's just try the clock, see if the clock does any, see if the clock is dead or not. So if we put this into the back of the clock, there's a square end on the cable. Okay, so trying the stub of cable into the back of the clock, it's seized up, the clock doesn't turn. Okay, so did the clock seize and break the cable? We'll never know. Either way, the cable's no good and the clock is seized up. So we'll fit all new. Okay, so if we take out the new cable, so this is the bigger end that goes down to back of the engine, and this is the smaller nut that goes onto the back of the clock. And it's this big nut that wouldn't let us pull the cable up through the tractor. It has to come up through it's actually the air filter bracket that only has a hole big enough for this small nut to go through. So that's why it has to go that way. But you can see on this new cable, if I turn one end, you can see the other end in there turning round. Okay, so hopefully you can see this here is the hole in the air filter bracket that the nut has to pass through. So hopefully we can thread it through, not knock the camera off, and get it going the right way. It's got to go through the air filter bracket, through the battery tray, past the wires, and then it should, if we guide it right, pop up through there, and then it will sit in that, when it's in the position, will sit in this cutout and give plenty of clearance for the battery. So what we'll do, if I press the cable from this end, it will push that up through, out of the way, then I can fit the nut onto the back of the camshaft, and hopefully the central cable, we can then feed it through, catch it in the square, and it'll be done. Okay, so here goes. So we need to go through, past that throttle lever, try and keep that central cable back out of the way, line that up onto the end, and then screw that on, and that's it, all nice and snug. So now what we need to do now is thread the center of the cable into the back of the camshaft and engage it. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll just let that drop in, give it a little turn, and it's engaged in there now, and then it will push in, and that's it. Okay, so now for the clock. So this bracket here, so this mounting bracket is surplus to requirements, so we'll just take that off. Remove the rubber plug. just protecting the end. There is an electrical fitting here, which I'm guessing has a light bulb in to backlight your screen. So we'll wire that up when we get the lights done in the future. So easy fit, just straight down in, line up the mounting studs. This bit is stopping it going in. Okay, so putting a light into the clock was a nice idea. So that's where it was fitted. Unfortunately, that it doesn't actually fit into the dash with the light fitting in there. All we get in the back of the dash is a hole to let the cable in and the two fixing holes, and there isn't a hole to allow that bulb to stick out like it did. So we've put a grommet in there to keep the dirt and dust out. I've also replaced this grommet, so this rubber grommet is what was in the hole where the stud goes through, so I've replaced that one. So we're now ready to install our clock. There we go, it was just caught up on that second rubber. Maybe we should have replaced both the grommets in the back of the dashboard. Anyway, put the nuts on. Just pull them up evenly. There we go. Finger tight will do for them. There's no need to use don't need to be too tight. The clock won't move now. So now what we need to do, just get the cable in, catch the square into the drive in the back of the clock right. There we go. Just screw him on. There we go. That is the clock installed. So there we go. Freshly installed clock. Just trying to hold it without getting the reflection of the light on it. But it's looking okay, isn't it? It sits in there nicely. Okay, and the final piece to fit is our nice new exhaust pipe. So again, this is part number 1057. Well, this size of exhaust will fit quite a range of tractors, from the T20 all the 35s to 135. All those kind of size tractors. So there we go. Let's give him take the wrapping off. I got a funny feeling we're going to have to go outside to fit this. I don't think we've got enough clearance on the roof. It's too long. So here he is, silver painted finish. Very difficult one-handed to unwrap something from bubble wrap. So here we go. Right, let's go. We'll have a trial fit, but yeah, it's a no-go. We'll go outside, get the exhaust pipe on, and finish off the video outside. Right, so quickly, just before we swap the exhaust, we've got the original one that came with it on there. We're going to listen to that for a few seconds, see if the new one makes a different sound. Okay, and what we can do now, and because we now have an operational clock, we can do them both on 800 RPM. There we go, that's the new exhaust on. Does it sound any different? So there we go, all our new parts are fitted. So we started out with the gear lever rubbers, so they've been moved around a little bit now. What we're going to do, we're going to go up give it a quick test run up the lane, just to have a play really. But the gear stick rubbers have all been moved around now, so they fit nice and snug. Air intake, air pre-cleaner, that's my favourite bit of the whole job, I reckon. It looks nice, it's well made, it's got a good covering of paint, and it's a snug fit on the air intake. I like that. And moving on round to the dynamo guard. Again, it's a nice fit, only in primer this time, but you know, easy enough to paint one of those. The holes lined up well, and there's plenty of clearance behind it for the belt and the pulley to all turn. Next thing was the clock and the cable that is just down in now, you can't really see it. And finally the clock, and we've done a little test run already before we put the exhaust pipe on. You can see we have now put 0.1 hours on the clock already. And then finally, the biggest thing is the new silencer. I don't think it sounds any different, which is good. Which I think is good. It sounds the same as the original one. Let's just give everything a bit more of a road test. And yeah, it certainly finishes off the look of the tractor. Having that air intake on it makes a big difference, I think. So there we go, little road test. Everything works as it should. The clock rises and falls nicely. It's a nice steady needle. So pleased with that, very pleased with that. So there we go. That brings us to the end of the video. So I need to once again say thank you very much to Matt and the whole team at QTP for sending me out these bits. And I hope you've enjoyed the video of, you know, fitting them. And they asked for some feedback on the parts, and hopefully we've done that now. So there we go. So I think that'll do. So I will say thank you very much for watching. Once again, thank you to QTP, and we'll see you next time.